What's up, guys? It's Toby Rosario, and in today's video I wanted to explain and talk about how you can really narrow down your list to form it into the ultimate motivated seller list. And the way you do that is it's by list stacking. Now you're probably wondering, what does that mean? What are you talking about? So list stacking, in a nutshell, essentially what it is. So I made this drawing here. And basically what that means is, so let's say you have several lists, right? You can obtain these lists. So this I'll go over some of the lists. So absentee owner list, you have a vacant list, you have a driving for dollars list, you have a tax delinquent list, you have a probate inherited list, code violations, you have pre-foreclosure. So those are the kinds of lists that you can target. But what list stacking does, so what you can do is you can make sure, so you can really focus in on a motivated seller list, the ultimate. So I guess the best way to explain it is, so in this example I have an absentee list at the bottom of the drawing here. So let's say you have an absentee list, you pull that from list source. I have the link below. You pull that from list source, and then what if that absentee list, you were able to find out on that list which properties are vacant? So you have an absentee list, and then you have a vacant. You have addresses, and you know which property owners' houses are vacant. So you have two levels there. Then what if you had another tax delinquent list, and you were able to combine that with your absentee and vacant list, right? Are you starting to catch on what I'm trying to get to? So now you have you can formulate a more targeted, motivated seller, because now you know that he's an absentee owner, the property is vacant, and the property is delinquent on their taxes. What if you add another filter where you know that the property is inherited, right? So let's say this was a 10,000 record list. Okay, and then after the vacants, just for the example, it went down to 5,000. So you went from 10,000 to 5,000. So you have a list that contains absentee owners, and all those owners are all those properties are vacant. So you know it's absentee and you know it's vacant. And then what if you added another list to that, tax delinquent? So you had it. So now you have. So these are all three separate lists, but you're combining. And I'm going to explain how you can do that. You're going to combine all three lists, and then there's a software that tells you which property owners, which property addresses show up on multiple lists. Does that make sense? So now you have an absentee owner list, you have a vacant list, and then so that's for that example, that 5,000 record list, it's absentee and it's vacant. Then you pulled a tax delinquent list and you added it to the software, and then that 5,000 record list turned down to 2,500. So now that 2,500 record list, it has three levels of motivation: absentee, vacant, and tax delinquent, right? And then let's just say, for example, you had a probate list or inherited list, right? Separate. And then you were to put it in the software, and then it tells you from the list that you already have, that's absentee, vacant, and tax delinquent, that these property owners, they also are probate properties. They're also inherited properties. So now you have four levels of motivation. And in this example that I have, what if you add another level of motivation, which would be, like, for example, these are all examples for a code violation. Does that make sense? So you went all the way from 10,000 to, let's just say, so it went to 5,000, absentee, vacant, tax delinquent. Then you added a probate list to that list, that 5,000, and narrowed it down to 2,500. So in that 2,500 record list, you know that all those owners are absentee, they don't live in the property. All those property addresses are vacant. All those properties are delinquent on the taxes. All those properties, the owner inherited those properties, or it's a probate property. So you have four levels of motivation. And you can add another, for example, you can try to get another level of motivation. In this example, I use a code violation list. So it brought that 2,500 record list to 1,000. So you went from all the way from 10,000 to 1,000. But in that 1,000 record list, you have five levels of motivation. And what I mean by that is, you know it's for absentee, you know that the property is vacant, you know that it's tax delinquent, you know that they're inherited, and you know that it also has some code violations. So that's 5 levels of motivation. Does that make sense? So that's how you can really target and narrow it down and sniper down to a motivated seller. Now in this example, I use absentee, but what if you had a pre-foreclosure list, people who are about to go in foreclosure? What if and you had a tax delinquent list, and you were able to combine that list to so it's pre-foreclosure, and then they're also delinquent on taxes. Then also, what if that property is vacant? So that's 3 levels. What if that property, so that the owners left that property, or they don't live in that property? So it's pre-foreclosure, absentee, vacant, tax delinquent. You see how powerful that is? And a software that can do that is called Property List Manager. I'll have the link below. So essentially what that does, it's a list stacking software where you compile all these lists. So you pull all the lists that you normally do: absentee, code violation, probate, pre-foreclosure, inherited, those kind of lists. And then what you would do is you would pull it into the software, and then the software tells you what owners, what property addresses are showing up on the same type of list. So you can really filter it and give you a higher probability of people who are motivated. Does that make sense? So this software, it's pretty cool. The good thing about it, it has over 35 filters, and also validates all your addresses, and it does the vacancy filtering for you. So what that means is every month they're going to filter and let you know which properties are vacant. So you don't even need to pull a vacant list. This software does that for you. So an example you can use is, so let's say you pull the absentee owner list from ListSource. So that's one list. Then you were to get the pre-foreclosure list from the county. That's a separate list. So that's 2 lists. Then you were to get the tax delinquent list from the county. So that's 3 lists. All right. So you pull that list all those lists into the software, and then the software is going to tell you which out of all those lists, all the 3 lists combined, which properties are vacant. So, and then also which property owners and which property addresses show up on the same list. So they're going to show up on the absentee and it also does the absentee filtering as well. So you don't really need to even pull an absentee on the list, but for this example, so you get the absentee on the list, you get the vacant list, you get the pre-foreclosure list, the tax delinquent list, and then it's going to narrow it down and tells you, look, out of these 10,000 records from all the lists combined, 2,000 of these, they're all showing up on the same list. They're all on one list, master list. Make sense? So that's how you can really target, save money on your direct mail, or save money on your marketing. It doesn't even, if you wanted to do direct mail, you can. So you don't have to send thousands of mailers. You can just really filter it to 1,000 records, 2,000 records, whatever your budget permits. And you can cold call that list. You can mail to that list. You're not going to be spending thousands. You'll be spending hundreds instead of thousands. So that's something you should really look into. I'll have the link below so you guys can check that out. It's a really cool software. It's called list stacking. It's essentially where you stack the list. So you have all these 5, 6, 7, 8 different type of lists where you normally would put the list, right? And then the software stacks the list and tells you which property owners, which property addresses are showing up on multiple lists. So now you have a separate list that's targeted, including all those levels of motivation, and you can really focus in on those sellers first, because those are the most likely to sell at a discount. I'll have the link below, and you guys can check that out. It's $97 a month, but it's definitely worth it. You're going to save hundreds and thousands of dollars. You don't have to go very broad. You can go very targeted sniper, and then you can scale out and then go very broad. So I'll have the link below so you guys can check that out.